what they do, what it is. This is Orion, aka Brass Balls, bringing you a very epic, momentous episode that we have for you right now. As always, subscribe to the YouTube channel, Orion Hip Hop, where you can peep previous episodes of Deep Dive Tape Stash, along with music from yours truly, remixes, and dope obscure demos that you may have never heard in your life. Episode 69, the inverse of that would be 96, so I thought it was only proper. Hoodstock 96, the official vinyl that got released as a promo for the whole event and everything. And you might be saying to yourself, hey, this is not a tape. That's right. Being how this is the 200th video, and that's what makes this so momentous. This is the 200th video that I've put up on the Orion Hip Hop page. I am going to introduce a new segment, Deep Dive Vinyl Stash, but they'll all be in the same episode framework. Shout out DJ Chaos, aka Nelson, aka Breed Soul Music. Go check him out on IG, because he's the brother that hooked me up with this piece of vinyl, I would say almost a decade ago. Helped him go through his storage unit to find some things. If you look at this front cover, let's just start with the artwork. The artwork itself is stellar, dope graffiti from that era. I love everything about this. There's so much unique shit going on. And from what I could tell, it was done by somebody named Negro, because that's what you see in the right corner, Negro 96. But he's got characters on there, and he's got names like O-Dog, Courage, Enemy, Ray-Ro, DJ Raw, and even Tony Touch is in there. But Hoodstock 96 was a festival that went down in 1996, and 91.7, as you can see on that cover, is the underground station that was being ran by DJ Raw. DJ Raw was the mastermind behind Hoodstock 96 and 91.7 FM, but he had a team. His team was KO Posse, and the brothers in KO Posse are some of the ones that I just named: Courage, Enemy, O-Dog, Ray-Ro. So these were the MCs in the crew. There's other people that were in the KO Posse, and it was a really dope era in Miami hip-hop. These brothers were hailing out of Wynwood, and Hoodstock was a festival catering towards real hip-hop and real hip-hop culture. There was another festival going down at that same time, and it was How Can I Be Down? This was more of real industry heads, a bunch of out-of-towners, and in most cases, they weren't giving enough light to the local scene. And Hoodstock was the antithesis, the response to How Can I Be Down? 1995, I believe, was the first year that Hoodstock went down, and then the second year was 96, and then they did it again on 97. These brothers had this festival go down at Roberto Clemente Park in Wynwood, and I couldn't go to these festivals because I was still legit, y'all. I was 12, 13 years old, in Hialeah, no vehicle, and the only way you heard about this is if you was tapped in, if you was outside, or if you was like me, recording mad gems off of 91.7 FM. Telling y'all, that was one of my favorite underground stations. In the 90s, there was a lot of underground stations doing their thing, but 91.7 was my favorite. To this day, I still have tapes of music that I recorded from when they were playing it. And, you know, one of the things that was the folklore behind Hoodstock and Hoodstock Radio was the fact that DJ Raw had a school bus that he converted into a radio station. And this made it so much more effective. And if you look at the back of this vinyl, there's a collage of pictures, which the collage is just as dope as the front cover, in that there's a lot to look at in here, and you could see the bus in there. So I thought that was really dope about this record. Let me actually tap into the record and the music on it, because I'm going off on the sleeve and the history of Hoodstock, which is necessary for y'all to understand. But let's go into the music. Discogs accredits the production to have been by Tony Touch. This makes sense to me because Tony Touch is not rapping on this song, and they're shouting him out a whole bunch on this song, and he's on the front cover. So this may very well be a Tony Touch beat. The rhyming that's going down on this track is by Courage, Enemy, O-Dog, and Ray-Ro. I can't really tell the brothers apart really because I'm not too familiar with each one of their voices, but they both come with it. The beat is dark, the beat is grimy. I like it for the most part. And there's even like, I don't know which one of them said this line, but one of them said, phony like them dreads on Mystical's head. I don't know why they had to go at Mystical like that, but this was the 90s, and dudes did have punchlines like that. They also shout out Mother Superior in the song, and they shout out Those Funky Bastards, so that was dope to see. The vinyl itself has that same track, the instrumental, the acapella, and the radio version and the dirty version. And then on the B side, there's also DJ Raw's solo track, The Ill Grill. What I would have liked about this vinyl, being how this is so epic with this illustration, is a bit more tracks. I wish they would have put more tracks on it. You know, they would later on go and release DJ Raw and the KO Posse, and that's a dope LP. They could have put some tracks from that, or even put some tracks from a CD that they released that was not for the bread but for the butters, a Hoodstock 1996 compilation. That compilation is so fucking dope. It's got so many ill tracks. It would have been dope if they would have put one or two of those tracks on this vinyl as well. That's just my thoughts anyways. The one thing I've been searching for that I haven't been able to find is a tape that they must have released in the 95 era of Hoodstock, and it was Journey Through the Bottom. And it had Mother Superior, Those Funky Bastards, Half Pint, a lot of dope MCs. Other things about the backside of this thing too is like the dope photos of everybody. It really encapsulates the era. You can see that they included Enemies solo 12-inch, which was called the original Lick Shot. And then they also have a poster that you can see Trigger the Gambler tagged up on it, and Rhyme Wrecker is tagged up on it. Rhyme Wrecker and Trigger the Gambler are part of Next Level Click with DR Period and Smooth the Hustler. And the reason for that is because of Hoodstock. When Hoodstock would go down, they would bring down cats like that, Boot Camp Click, Shaheem, Channel Live. A who's who of real hip-hop would show up at Hoodstock. And that was the festival that real heads would be at. How Can I Be Down felt more, from what I gather from people telling me about it, like an industry event. There's even a track that Eminem has where he mentions How Can I Be Down, sleeping in a living room and stuff during that and everything. So it was a big deal. This festival, Hoodstock, was the one to be at. I remember being at General Cinemas in Hialeah. It was 97, and they had the Hoodstock 1997 poster up that had Sons of Man, Grave Diggers, a group from down here called Hellraisers that had a dope song that I always loved called Death Rattle. And it was dope to see all of these acts on the same bill. Boot Camp was on that poster. Man, I wish I would have ripped that poster and kept it for myself, but I knew they were trying to promo, and I didn't want to be that dude. You feel me? But I should have done it. I should have gone back and taken it. But anyways, this Tony Touch production is dope too. One of the things I liked about it is how they sampled Capadonna saying 917 from the Winter Wars. And I thought that was dope that they put that in there, especially since the numbers for Hoodstock Radio was 91.7. So that was dope that they meshed that in there. Tony Touch, the first time I heard about him was through 91.7 FM. I remember I even had a tape of a lot of the freestyles that were on the Power 50 mixtapes, and one of them included Inspector Deck's I Bomb Atomically verse off of Triumph, when he did it on a Tony Touch mixtape over the shadowboxing beat. That shit blew my mind when I first heard it, and I heard that on 91.7 way before Triumph came out. And if you're curious on how this record actually sounds, because you may have never heard it, the previous post that I had on my Instagram, it may still be up, but if you're watching this on YouTube, check the description box. I got a link to somebody else, shout out to Mad Human, who actually put up this track on his YouTube page. So I got a link to that, as well as some other links to some of the stuff I was talking about. Wynwood, the area that DJ Raw and KO Posse reigned out of and that they claimed as their hood, has transitioned so crazily now. Nowadays, Wynwood has turned into a Miami art district, which is dope in itself. We're almost like the graffiti capital of the United States. You could say Wynwood has a claim to that. You know, obviously New York being the mecca of hip hop is always going to be the home of graffiti and everything. But there is appreciation for hip-hop culture and graffiti culture, especially in that Wynwood area. That Wynwood area in the 90s and 80s was a dangerous place. I had a godmother that lived on 32nd Street, and I know what that neighborhood was like in the 80s and 90s firsthand. It was not the area you could easily walk around in and just graffiti any nook and cranny that you wanted. At night, you better watch your ass in Wynwood. Wynwood was no joke. It was one of Miami's biggest hoods. And just south of that Wynwood area is Overtown. Overtown is still to this day a rough area. It's no joke. I mentioned how DJ Raw and the KO Posse released a vinyl. When they released that vinyl, it had a lot of production from a dude named Zulu Gremlins. I don't know if Zulu Gremlins officially joined the KO Posse, but I believe he produced the majority of that LP, and there was a dope-ass song on it called Wynwood is the City that was mad fire. So, shout out to all them brothers, man. Shout out to DJ Raw. Shout out to the KO Posse and everybody that had anything to do with Hoodstock Radio, anybody that had to do with the Hoodstock Festival that went down. It's one of those things that I would love to see come back and really flourish and bring back the essence of hip-hop being celebrated as a festival, a community within Miami. That would be fresh to see. DJ Raw still doing his thing, actually. You could find him on IG, where he's still putting on some shows here and there, but also giving y'all some holistic food, some holistic vegan plates to feed your appetite. So go check them out. With that said, this concludes this episode. Thank y'all so much for joining, subscribing, liking all my posts. It's been a journey. This is the most consistent I've been with my YouTube channel, and that's why I felt the need to celebrate this 200th video, episode 69 of Deep Dive Tape Stash. But today is Deep Dive Vinyl Stash. I'm gonna bring some more vinyls out as we go on, more episodes like this. Peace.